Redo the
calendar.
fucking calendar. Put 28 days in every single month, and make 13 months. And then that would be the end of it. You would have an even number of days in the year. You wouldn't have to worry about leap year. Every woman would get their period on the same day every single month. You know, when babies are born, you would know exactly, you know, like, it's ridiculous. You wouldn't have to get...
But what were you going to
And
name
what will be the 13th month?
Exactly.
No.
Well, you have to name it if you're going to
Dragon month?
Dragon? I thought you were going to say Fraggin Month.
I think they should move October to the 8th month.
Where it belongs.
Should be.
October should be the 8th month.
And November would be the 9th, and December would be the 10th, because...
Ooh, I like November 11th. Hey.
No.
Yes.
September.
I don't
or
know.
7th.
No, 7th. That should be 7th.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Hey.
Exactly.
Why do they name, like, some months after, like, gods? But, okay, so, like, why do they have, like, the days of the week are, like,
They're based off of
Norse gods.
Viking Norse mythology.
Yeah.
The
why?
calendar is originally based off of that
Gregorian.
No, this is the Gregorian calendar that we're on.
Yeah.
But it had like the September, October, November was matched the month number. But then they figured out it's not enough months. So like August is Augustus. July, I think, is Julius.
Yeah.
I forget which way it goes. So to add the extra months, they're like,
Julius,
July
Augustus,
is Julius.
Sept is for...
Hi,
September.
Simon.
I can't remember. Sept is 7 and Oct is 8.
He was a
and
child earlier.
November is 9.
it's all on Wikipedia. I swear on it.
I mean, you look all right and everything, Simon. Actually, you look very much like you. Did you do the selfie thing?
No, I just
You did?
I don't like the eyes. The eyes are kind of creepy.
The eyes are glassy.
You,
I can't really tell.
Thing in Canada.
yeah,
You have
Oh,
that
that's
green
right.
eyes?
Right.
Wow.
and the eyebrows are a little.
Selfie thing in Canada.
Your eyebrows
They
look a
get
little
selfies.
We don't have the
plucked.
option.
They're a little closer together.
Like, we can't design our own clothing.
That's what I noticed when they're like, "Hey, here's a picture of you." They're like, "Okay, let's put your eyes as far apart as possible." Like we're gonna be reptilian people like Zuck.
How do you guys keep your hands down to your sides so much? Are y'all sitting too?
Sitting.
Are you sitting? Because like my hands are always right here.
Are you sitting at a table?
No, I'm sitting in a recliner.
Do you have your arms on the recliner?
Yeah, I got them on.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
Now put them in your
down
lap.
It is my lap.
I'm not.
Put them down beside.
I can't.
Are you
That's the end of
holding
it.
that beer keg in front of you, or?
No, I've lost weight, man.
Oh, good job. Yay.
I lost
Good job today.
48 pounds.
Hey.
That's-
That's awesome.
I don't know how like they got it completely their side. Mine's always like here,
I'm right down by my.
but I'm sitting.
hips.
I mean, it
don't have
doesn't
to-
matter. Like if I'm on stage and I'm talking, I'll be like, and then and that, and
You got the zombie arms going.
Oh, Simon, that is a creepy smile. Do that again.
Do the angry face. It looks like you're taking a shit.
Oh,
What the
no.
hell? How do you do an angry
Okay,
face?
you know what? Now that
That's
I'm
creepy.
closer, you do not look like you. Not even a little bit.
And
What's up, Cosmic?
I don't know, but your
Cosmic
Just,
your avatar is smaller than everything.
I'm just laying down, waiting for
is.
any
Say you
shows
look
to
tired
begin.
tonight?
Yeah, I'm
It
tired,
is.
but
He
I'm
looks
here.
like a child.
Yeah, he looks like a child.
You're
and he
shorter
stole
than
his
me.
dad's facial hair and
See?
glued it on.
Bullshit.
And he's got a little cowlick right here in his hair. Look. It's so cute. It's got a
Oh,
little
you got
alfalfa.
something sticking out the
He's
back.
got a little alfalfa in his hair.
Oh.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hello.
Welcome. We'll be starting here shortly. We're just making fun of Simon for a few minutes.
9 minutes.
I never make fun of Simon. Oh,
That's why you
should've
took a
seen
picture of his
his little cowlick.
Cowlick. It's called yes.
Why is he doing that? Like he's like jerking.
Tell him to
Jerking.
make angry face.
Why are you jerking, Simon?
Stop jerking there,
There's your little cowlick.
Needs
It's
for
cute.
needs.
I liked your avatar at Smokin' Jay's at Doobie's Comedy Jam.
God, your hair. Wow. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Your hair is
I
so
think you got shorter.
You want to get started with this child over here?
Yeah. Wink, Win, do you guys want an intro?
Hey, Wind.
Hello.
You gotta hit the buttons
Hello.
for her, though.
I'll hit the buttons.
You can.
I'm
hit
gonna fuck it
buttons.
up.
You won't fuck it up. You're gonna be amazing.
Here, let's do this.
It says it's not starting.
Oops.
Now it does.
Sorry. Where did?
So all you want
where
to do
am
is
I?
hit
I
Binge
was
Nation at the top
sorry.
there. And then when you're done with the music, just run your fingers straight down the square. That'll,
Hey, you
Turn
can
it
rub
The
things.
one over on the side, not
yeah,
the
there,
middle
see the
one.
Good.
square,
Wow.
there's a stop,
Yes.
there's a play,
I
and
knew.
then
Yeah.
It's
you
so
could
hard
do
to
this
get
one
things
here and
situated.
it'll fade out.
Okay.
That's better.
I wonder who's on stage tonight.
What were the shows we were supposed to watch?
Yep.
Which one? Sorry.
Survivorman.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't do
season
that.
1.
Hey,
Oh, look,
bam.
the show's about to start.
Yay!
Hello, and
Yay.
welcome to the Unknown Theater. This is Binge Nation with your hosts, who? King Nothing and SimonJosh.
Oh my God, he's running.
Oh, what up? Hey.
Hey,
Just
hey.
throw something?
Yeah,
Oh.
got the mugs. Oh, I like it when
Damn it.
does it. We get to hear all the different shows that we have here at the theater.
Yeah, I kind of fucked up that intro, didn't I?
Nice.
Push all the
It's
buttons.
amazing.
You can't do as bad as I did. What was it? Rodney Voodoo Ramsey?
Oh,
something.
Vinny Voodoo. A lot of
Vinny
Vinny
Voodoo.
Yeah.
Voodoo Vinny Voodoo. And Colin Aiken. Yeah, I've had my share of
Whoa.
nice arm.
Whoa.
So welcome to the Binge Nation show every other Tuesday. Sorry, don't want to take away from Win Magic and Belligerent show, Pipe Dreams, Crooked Conversations. Welcome to the stage, my guest host, SimonJosh.
Oh,
Josh,
hi.
the young one. I was hoping he'd have his new avatar legs on, but I guess
No, my outfit
tonight.
did not carry over into the new system very well. And Rodney was like, "You're looking all low res, buddy." And I was like, so I tried on a different outfit, and then my previous outfit was inaccessible, so I got screwed over out of my $9 digs. So I'm a little bit hurt
Wow.
about that, and now nobody gets to see my knees. So I apologize to those who came out specifically for that.
I mean,
Okay,
you
we
can
can
always
see
wear a
Wink's
skirt.
toes. So
No.
Yeah, I could do the skirt thing. I think I did do Doobie's Comedy Jam last week in a dress, but I don't know. Today I'm a little semi-casual. I don't know.
I should warn you that the audience will sometimes stand just to because you said something really good or funny. They're a little shocked by it. They'll just all rise. It's
like do you ever play Perfection as a kid, where you have to turn
where
the thing and then everything pops up at the same time? That's what we got going here at the Unknown Theater. Yeah.
it's
It's
perfection.
fantastic. So we are going to review Survivorman season 1. It was on YouTube, still is on YouTube. Welcome Crow, welcome Knight Rider.
So,
obviously this came about due to the Survivorman, the Descent VR game. So we did a lot of shows. I think on the last one to highlight the Survivorman video game. Go out and get it. I hear it's very good. I personally have not got a chance to play it. I know, shocking, isn't it? I'm very
so
sorry.
weird. It's so weird.
But you are a huge Survivorman fan.
Survivorman fan.
Survivorman fan. You
The
pretty much
Survivorman
watched
fan.
everything by him.
And there are a lot of things by him at this point.
Right.
I started with the Survivorman original series. I guess I'm trying to think of how long ago it was. Like early maybe 2010s is when I started watching. I think it's in like 2005, 2006, and it was the first show of a guy going out into the woods or whatever natural environment with like a set of cameras on his own and then filming the whole ordeal, whether it was like the Arctic, the desert, forest, or whatever. And I thought
So
that
you
was
can
the
go upstairs or you can go straight
coolest
to the
thing. And
door.
that
I'm going
spun off
upstairs.
into his series Beyond Survival, where he spends time more with the indigenous cultures
This
that
is
are
so cool.
still sort of living
Very popular
in
place.
the ways people did thousands of years ago, and showing the primitives or ancient survival techniques that can still be used today. He did his series Wild Harvest, which is like him going and foraging in the woods and not necessarily trying to survive, but ending up giving his food to a chef to make awesome dishes. Yeah,
I'm highly interested in watching that. I'm kind of a foodie, I'd say, in a low-level foodie. And when I heard about that, I was like, I really kind of want to watch that now.
You know, I resisted that show at first because I thought, like, I like the dramatic tension of the person who might like die in the desert or whatever. And Wild Harvest was very much like no one's in danger. It's just go out and get all these food. But man, if you are a foodie and you like shows like Chopped or whatever, where you have like a limited set of ingredients, that's what he puts his chef friend through. So he goes, picks some stuff, sometimes by the end of his driveway, sometimes, you know, in the middle of the woods, and he gives the ingredients to the chef, who's like, oh shit, what am I going to do with this? And he makes something awesome, and then they eat it together, and they're like, oh, this is amazing. You get jealous of what they're eating, and then after the next episode,
Just every other cooking show. And then you go to the fridge and find a hot dog and a stale bun. You're like, okay, this is my meal.
But you should be going into your backyard and eating some dandelions or some
Dandelion tea, I've heard of that, but I've gotten rid of my dandelions. So the first season is the quintessential, the very first time he's done this. I believe there was actually an episode on there, the pilot, which I missed that one. I think it was way at the bottom. But it's very reminiscent. It was touched about at his AMA. It's very reminiscent of modern YouTube shows that are one-man stage. You know, camera's there, he does this thing, and then for some reason the guy starts walking in the woods, and you're like, okay. And then the shot changes to him walking towards the camera, and then you learn that he's doing this by himself. And you're like, okay, so he set this camera up, walked down the way, turned around, went back, got the camera, walked all the way back over another 100 yards, set the camera up, walked all the way back, and then walked towards the camera, and then edited everything out so that it looked like he was walking away.
Yeah, and this is holding
towards
a whole bunch of gear. This is not having eaten in like half a day or whatever, and it's just like, what a pain in the ass that must have been for the sake of the film that we get to.
I did notice that some of the later episodes were a lot less of that, and he touched on that at the AMA. Like I'm done doing the walking with this stuff just to get that shot of me walking down in the woods.
We actually don't get that much out of it, really, compared to stuff happening. Yeah. Is that a hand up there, Wind Magic?
Yes, did your set change?
Yes, it did.
Is this a podcast tonight or what?
Yes.
It is Binge Nation. We review every other Tuesday. We review a TV show, movies, usually movies. This is a special episode about Survivorman due to the video game Survivorman VR: The Descent. Okay, I thought you just like said screw it and completely left there for a second.
Well, so like we got to know the people from Survivorman, and so we're just like doing a a multi-pronged celebration of all that they've done. So we have a gaming show at the Unknown Theater. We talk about games every second Friday at 9 p.m. And we talked about Survivorman VR, the game. Here we're talking. This is a TV and movies show, so we're talking about the TV show that Survivorman made. Last week we had an AMA with Survivorman himself, and we've done a few comedy shows that were Survivorman themed.
That was a very rememberable set or stage setting that
Yeah.
you guys set up for that, or the famous Emmy did, of course.
Well, the first season was cool because he's still figuring some stuff out, and there's some stuff that he sort of stops doing in later seasons. He doesn't focus as much on like explaining the gear. He doesn't focus on much on like the establishing shots like that. If you actually do end up getting into the show, in addition to all the episodes, there's director's commentaries on everything too.
I did not know he had that. Again, another thing from the AMA that he said he did, and that'd be interesting to go back to hear maybe not every episode, but the very interesting ones that I thought were more interesting to me.
You wonder what happened behind the scenes and what he was thinking and doing. But yeah, there's tons of little stories full for every episode. I kind of wanted to get him into banter for like a watch party and do like a live director's commentary or something.
Oh, that'd be
just
amazing.
So many little things.
Because he is very talkative. He knows what he's talking about, so it just pours out of him.
Especially with the director's commentaries. For some of them, he hadn't seen the episode in 10, 15 years, and so it's very like trip down memory lane. You get to see the real nostalgia hitting him too, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and like they're like you have both. You have a choice because the director's commentaries end up being like hour and a half per episode because he's pausing and he's talking about what's going on while he has a glass of wine in his hand, hanging out in his house. And having a good time. It was during COVID when
there's not much else going on. Yeah,
so figured he'd just like go through all the episodes and give his take through it.
And didn't he win an award for that too?
I believe so. Yeah. He has fucking awards for everything. He does.
I mean,
his children's book has gotten an award. The game got the equivalent of like the closest you can get to like a Canadian Oscar for a game, which sounds like the most useless award ever, but it was still it was a pretty cool game. And actually, one of the episodes from the first season, there are some elements that were pulled into the game. I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, some of
the spoilers are all allowed here.
That's true. It's Binge Nation. We spoil all the time. In the game, in the game, you start with a crashed helicopter at the top of a mountain, and you basically get the sort of apparition help of Survivorman Les Stroud to give you tips on what to do to get your way down, find food, stay warm, etc. And I can see that there was some loose basing on one of the episodes in the first season that had like a crashed plane, and in that episode, as in the game, he snares a rabbit. And makes char cloth to help get fire started. Not full exact port over, but some elements, which is kind of part of the fun. Like if anyone was a fan of the show, the VR game is like the closest you're going to get to being in one of those kinds of scenarios, let's say. And
you would hope, anyways.
Well, yeah, without actually being in danger of dying.
And I would assume that every situation that if you threw him in the same situation, it would be a little different. You would have different supplies or lack thereof, different times
game wise.
Or I mean, if even in the show, if he did another plane crash in that same area, because I think it was in Canada, the simulation happened, but it was mid-winter. But now, let's say you did it and it was fall or spring. The situation would be a little different at that point.
Yeah. I believe I saw a plane episode in another show, and I'll say like Survivorman, that show got me into the whole I guess you could say like genre of shows, because since then there have been other ones. As the other ones had TV crews, and you can tell, and the scenarios seemed kind of contrived. They weren't quite as good, but I still liked seeing other scenes from around the world. Some series I just couldn't stand. They drove me absolutely crazy.
I
'cause they
like
seem like
that he did it all on his own just for the sake of, okay, this was unexpected. Now I have to deal with this problem. It was, I think, in the first couple episodes, he actually got an injury with his hand, or he he got into the scenario with a wounded foot that he had to watch and make sure that he didn't make it any worse.
Sure, and he makes mistakes too, and he's not afraid to show them. Like he doesn't make it seem like he doesn't present himself as the god of all survival knowledge. He explains in the director's commentaries that he goes there earlier beforehand, gets training for each episode. But there was one episode, I don't know if it was in the first season and you saw it, but he wasn't paying attention and his shelter caught on fire because it was too close.
Oh no, I haven't seen that one.
Fire, and he's like, "Well, now you know that I'm telling the truth because I look like an idiot right now because I am a survival expert who just set his shit on fire." So,
usually later on, I like memorable parts or memorable episodes. But you're speaking of that. The one that really caught my attention is when he goes, "You know what? I think I'm going to start this fire with the gun."
What?
And he gets up to this thing and he unloads like 6 shots into the fire thing, and I'm like, why would you even attempt this? Like, take the gunpowder out of one of the bullets and use that as like your kindling or spark, to get the spark going. But no, he shot it. And just the whole fire bundle or whatever just goes up everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that, are you as good as you think you are?
No,
But oddly enough, he did get the fire started with the rifle.
Well, yeah, he found one like flaming piece of debris that flew off. I was like, yeah. No, but it's like, but just like he shows the failures, when he does like nail the successes, you could see just how genuinely happy he is of like when he gets the fire started or he's eating the delicious meal that he managed to put together. You get to like,
you definitely see the turn of the morale there, like when he got the rabbit from the Canada winter. Like he even sounded like he was slurring a little bit or messing up his words, and then he ate the rabbit and he's like, all right, we're walking out of this bitch. So yeah, you could see the morale boost from his successes.
I'm also a believer as a fellow Canadian in eating snow in appropriate circumstances. So like the worst thing that you can do in the cold, as he explains in the episode, is overheat and start sweating. And this is one of his classic lines is, "You sweat, you die." Very, very uplifting thing. And I remember
in the winter,
throughout my entire childhood, no matter how hot and sweaty I was, my mother could not wrap her head around the idea of me not having a coat on in the winter as I was trying to lower my body heat so that I would not sweat and die. She'd be like, "But it's winter, put on your coat." I'd be like, "No, but this is counterproductive, Dad. It's survival, Mom. You need to watch Survivorman." But I like watching him going around, no jacket, eating snow because it's going to cool him down and hydrate him at the same time. Like, yes.
Moderation, knowing what you're doing. I mean, it has an effect. If you lower your core body temperature too low from doing that, that's going to cause you problems. But
yeah,
just
if I was
enough
freezing,
to
I
get
would start eating
hydrated.
ice.
Yeah. Now, you had the very unique opportunity to host the AMA and speak directly to Les. How was that experience? Knowing such a fan, I mean, you could. I don't want to interrupt, but you could tell the nervousness was there, but not to the point of being a bad host. But you could tell you're excited, you're nervous, you're talking to the guy that you've been watching.
I actually didn't feel nervous like before, like a big stand-up set or something. I was excited. I couldn't wait. I was a little stressed about the tech. It is VR, and he's despite him having a VR game, he's not the most comfortable in VR of people out there. He's not playing it. He's the hologram kind of in it and giving the education in it. So, but I'd say I'd say it was one of the top most memorable and fun VR experiences I've ever had. For sure, it was super fun. I've never interviewed someone before, never
Oh,
mind
okay.
any kind of like celebrity interview. So like, okay, I guess I'll interview someone whose show I've been watching for a really long time. This is going to be pretty insane, and it was not the easiest thing to get in there. And by there, I mean like in headset, in VR, at the theater backstage. And shout out to Andrew McDonald, who came out for the Generation Games interview. He was the creative director on Survivorman VR, and he drove his ass from Toronto to Huntsville to support Les in with the getting the headset going. So thanks, Andrew.
That
for
drive
that.
probably makes more sense to the Canadians. Like, what's the distance there?
I don't know.
I think it's a good 4 or 5 hours, if I'm not 3 or 4 hours. Which, yeah, I'll confirm that. But like, it's so funny. Like, I lived in Europe for a time, and I was like, oh, Montreal to Toronto is like the east to the west coast of England. That's like the country end to end, and that's like nothing too crazy. But yeah, he went after work and then went home at night. I'm sorry, it's like about 3 hours. It's about 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but
Still,
6 hours in one day at the end of the workday.
Just for that AMA, which he I remember he even said, he's like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the one live watching the audience, not just answering questions and then somebody repeat the answer I said.
Well, it was supposed to be an hour-long event, but ended up being 2 hours. Whoops! But just after all the effort that went into it, it just felt like it was going by pretty quick, and he answered questions pretty thoroughly and got conversations started. So
it even stayed after, from my understanding.
Yeah, a little bit. We wanted, so the event was going to be, I asked him a bunch of questions, then I moderate the crowd asking him some questions, and then we're going to have one-on-one time with him after, a la Taylor Swift. But at that point, we were like pretty much 2 hours in, so unfortunately a lot of people didn't get to have that one-on-one time with him as we hoped. But it seemed like he had a good time, and he seemed pretty keen on potentially coming back, so whoever didn't get a chance to come to either that event or to get that additional one-on-one time or their question asked will hopefully have another opportunity to do so. We didn't even get to use like the screen on stage. I know in Magic.
Well, maybe he could come on Binge Nation.
Well, that's the thing. At this point, he could use like VR escorts, and I'm going to offer to drive my ass down to Huntsville, which is more of like a 9-hour
Where's
journey.
Huntsville?
So it's in northern Ontario, and it's called Northern Ontario, and really like if Ontario is like this big, Northern Ontario is like here, because all this is cold as fucking shitty. So this is already considered north enough. And then like the rest of Canada's like here. It's like ridiculous. But I was just on holiday around there, and the leaves are quite beautiful. But it's like a few hours north of Toronto.
Now, being a big fan, have you gone to any of the sites where he recorded?
Oh, no.
Being from Canada and a fan.
It's funny you say that. So no, but he does talk about this place, Tamagami, which is in one of the episodes, I think even in season 1. And he talks about it as like, for any Canadians who are from Ontario, it's like Algonquin Park, but without all the people. I went on holiday to Algonquin Park. There are a lot of people. He was like, he was kidding. But if you people like doing portage, which I don't know if that's like, I'll know what that is. It's basically it's like camping, but going out with like a canoe as well, and you're like walking with your canoe, getting on the canoe, going to the next spot, walking with your canoe, and like setting up camp and like having a whole trip like that. And so I've been to the place that he recommended not going, but I would love to go to the place he did recommend going. It looks just gorgeous, like the most perfect kind of lake country you can imagine. So it is on the list, but Kalahari, Arctic, Amazon, not recently, no.
So if you ever do that, and you've got to where you're canoeing to is a river, or lake that it's not rocky, that you've got, I would
Hmm.
highly recommend an inflatable, like an inflatable raft or an inflatable like 2-person kayak or something.
Oh, inflatable raft. I
Uh,
thought like if I get lonely
yes,
while I'm camping.
so
Yeah.
much easier.
I didn't know
No,
she was
no, no,
offering
no, not
herself.
an
And then she went to
inflatable
a-
doll.
She's like, if you ever
not
go, like you should bring it
I
up. And
would
she's gonna say me, and then she
No,
moved the inflatable.
I'm
And I was
sorry.
like, wait
I
a
know what
second.
I'm talking about because I'm seeing it in my mind and I'm all excited about this show because I was very sorry to miss the other one. But, you know, I was in Minnesota hanging with B and we did watch it, though. We did watch it the next day. So
Oh,
it was
nice.
awesome. But yeah, an inflatable like boat or canoe, kayak, much better than lugging a fiberglass or, you know, aluminum.
Where's the charm in
Canoe.
that though? It's supposed to.
Well,
It's supposed to be, I guess.
Well, you're
uncomfortable.
still roughing it. I mean, you've still got to blow the fucking thing up. So, or you've got to, you know, you usually bring a pump and you
right.
can blow the fucking thing up. And then you've got to paddle it across a lake or wherever out. Usually they're like islands or
Are we
across
still
a
talking about
river.
the blow up doll, or
God, no, this isn't a blow up doll. He's not. No, I mean, you
Right,
can
just
bring a leak.
You
But you
bring a
can pop
patch.
the
You have a
thing.
no. They have
I
patch
know.
kits.
Yeah.
They have patch kits.
They have patch kits for the blow up doll.
I don't mean to sidetrack, but
Well,
Vinny,
because
what's
I've
the
done
Simon
that,
Phoenix look?
and I love it.
That's
Because
what's
I've
with the
done-
Simon you asked. There's your answers in the question, my friend.
I was just saying because I've done that, and I didn't have anybody that was going with me, and I was like, you know, I really want to go camping, and because this is a great fishing spot, great camping site. There's only like one campsite on the entire island, me. So like basically, I was like on my own fucking island, but I couldn't figure out how I was going to walk 2 miles to get to the lake and then, you know, carrying a canoe. So I got an little inflatable boat and it was awesome. And I just paddled it across and camped.
That's pretty
It was
resourceful
great.
there, Wenda.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, you weren't gonna carry a canoe on your own head by yourself.
No, I could not do that. I'm not that strong. But you know what? I could carry a 17-pound inflatable raft on my back with my backpack and my, you know, tent and stuff. So yeah, it was cool.
Cool. It was super fun, Katie. I had a good time, and I'm really glad you were able to come out as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. I
and
wouldn't miss
hang out
that.
for the episode.
Did get to ask one question that was related to the show in a Binge Nation type of I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it was you know, what would you do, or what wouldn't you do learning from that first season, and what would you continue to do? I think he his answer was not show my ass as much.
Was it cute?
It was you know,
Very.
very Sims
Oh, yay.
blur for the first couple of episodes. But the other
It's
one
raw,
was,
man. It's raw.
it's- you know, I mean, if you're in the middle of nowhere and you're the only one there, gets you like, you know, but then you have to record it and edit it yourself, and he's probably like, I'll leave my ass in there.
If you were in the wilderness, would you be walking around naked? Do you think? Okay.
No, because of one movie that I watched years ago. Now I can't remember the name of the movie. 3 boys go looking for a dead body based off
Stand
of
by me, leeches.
the leeches.
That's
And
where I thought you were gonna go
yeah,
with
The
that.
body.
Yeah.
The body was the name of the
So actually,
book.
in one of the episodes of Wild Harvest, I say that show was like not at all dangerous, and it isn't compared to Survivorman. But in one of the episodes where he's going to get like cattail or whatever, he's just like kind of picking off leeches off his leg, just like kind
Oh
of
my
laughing,
God.
like, oh, here they go. And I'm like,
Gross.
that would have like just
I
ruined
mean,
my week.
no.
It's like, yeah, it's fun.
Usually I ask everybody if they've watched a show, but I usually get a no answer. So I'm gonna go with, have anybody been in a situation where they like had to be resourceful?
Yep.
Like you carrying a inflatable.
When I was part of the reason I love it so much is because I love to camp. I love everything outdoors. And when I was a kid growing up, in the country. There was a state park. It was not a camping state park. It was just like a wilderness area. It was part of the long trail goes through there, and name it was Brandon Gap. And there's like trout brooks going through, and my mom, there was a picnic area. We would go up as a family on the weekend, and me and my younger brother, who's a year younger than I, would stay up there for the week. They would go up like on a Sunday, and we would just stay up there for the week. And basically, all we would have was like we had these little army mess kits. I don't know if you know, they're like, they've got like all the stuff is in there to cook with.
The metal can or metal plate bowl.
Yeah, we had our fishing poles, a knife, our flint and steel, canteen, and sleeping bags. And we would just stay up there for the week. And we lived off like cattail roots, and we would catch fish and set snares. And sometimes we would get lucky and catch an animal. One time we caught a skunk that sucked.
Did you beat it?
But no, we lost our snare though, so we just kind of left it there.
Has anybody ever eaten a skunk? Do people eat skunks?
No, not so
eat
much.
skunks?
No.
I mean,
I mean, I'm sure people have, but no. But
Not-
mostly we caught fish.
Not
We
willingly.
would catch bullfrogs and make frogs' legs.
Wait, let me see if Fat Boy's
Wild
jumping.
strawberries, blackberries.
How'd you find
There's
the cattail
all
root?
kinds of stuff.
Was it good?
Cattail root is very good. And well, there's all kinds of things. There was hickory nuts. There was
For
acorns.
those who don't know, cattail, those little hot dogs you see by the water and like the reeds, those hot dog plants, little things, the little
Yeah.
pogos on
Well,
them.
there's
Great
also
torches as
this.
well.
There's also dandelions. There's always dandelion greens. There's
Mm.
planter leaves. Those are the ones that are like these flat leaves that grow like in circles, flat against the ground, and they have those spiky things that stick up with the little seeds. Those are all edible, and actually, with the seeds, you can make a tea out of. There was sumac, so if the sumac berries were already red, you could make like tea out of that. If you got cuts or scrapes, because that also works for like bug repellent and stuff. There's so much stuff. So that was like why I loved the show so much. But there was sometimes, honestly, I would yell at him, especially in the first 2 seasons. I would be yelling at him. Like, but then I noticed like he learned as he went along and stuff. And now he's like he got so far beyond what I could ever have done. But
That's curious.
I was-
You watching all of them,
Sorry,
has it
Sorry.
got to the point where
can't sit.
he's too knowledgeable now? Like you're not learning with him, you're not experiencing the. Okay, that
he's
didn't
still,
work.
but even as he talked about in
Can't sit.
the AMA, even in a later season, so later on, I think it was season 6, he did 10 days instead of 7 days, and they ended up being a few double episodes. And that was pretty later on to the series. And he, as he mentioned at the AMA, he got cocky thinking he had time to
Mhm.
get down a mountain, and he underestimated. And he's like, okay, it's like a treed mountainside in Norway covered in ice and snow. It's getting dark. I don't have any shelter built, no nothing. And I fucked up. And I was like, later on, like, you can make
could we just
mistakes
explain
anytime.
real quick for Tommy Gunn what
Hi, Tommy.
is-
How are
he just,
you?
He just entered.
Oh, hey, Tommy gun. We're
Hey, sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I just
No,
didn't
no,
know
that's
listen,
what
okay.
was
we're
No,
on
it's
show.
interactive. It's an interactive show. You're
here.
good.
What is
Yeah.
the? What
It's
is
a
going
King.
on?
You've had to explain a few times. It's a bi-weekly show about TV and movies, and this week we're talking about the first season of the Survivorman TV show,
Okay, cool.
which is from-
Did you happen to ever watch it?
No, right now I'm still catching up. I just finished Lost. I was hoping you're talking about that.
Oh wow, yeah, you're about a
Similar. It's very similar. Very similar concept.
Yeah, a little behind.
Yeah, actually, not. That was kind of interesting. Watching the very first episode, I'm a huge Castaway fan from the movie. I love the movie, and watching him do the fire, it made me wonder if that the producers or somebody watched Survivorman to see how he was doing things to get Tom Hanks to do that on that island, because I think the first episode was an island, and I recognize a lot of the similarities between that.
I do like that film as well. I like one of my favorite things about these shows is when they take just like regular, like a vehicle or something, and they strip it down to whatever essential parts to then MacGyver some shit out of. God, I love that so much.
Yeah.
It's like that and like the crazy dishes they managed to concoct starting the day with no food and then like being super excited at like some 4-part dish at the end of it. Must be
I
so
really
badass.
would. I might have to get that my wife, because we both would like to watch those cooking shows.
But sometimes just seeing fruit that's like from around the world, like he'll eat something and he'll be like, this tastes kind of like a lemon meets like a tomato, and he'll bite into it and be like, and you'll be like, God, I want to have a bite of that shit right now. What I would do, I'm never going to see that in the store ever. I'm never going to come across that anywhere.
That was one question I did want to ask, but I didn't want to take up the time. If he ever, like the one episode in the first season, he ate crickets and like pulls her head off and the guts come out. But while he was on stage, it made me wonder: is there anything that he's eaten in the wild that he got a craving for, but there's like no way to get it in the middle of Canada?
Yeah, I asked him like a bunch of food questions at once, and that was among them. I'm like, have you ever like just had something that was awesome, and then you're like, where am I gonna get this scorpion again? Like, nothing's gonna taste quite like that.
Just sitting there, like, I need a snack. I could go for some crickets. Where the hell am I gonna get crickets? It's time.
Well, man, there's these like grasshoppery kind of things where you're supposed to pull off the head and the guts come out with the head, and you fry them up, and they're supposed to taste like crispy peanut butter, and you're like, I think I would try that. He seems to really be like it. Or like
the only reason I brought it up is like you think about food that either doesn't exist anymore because you can't, like, it was a store-bought thing or whatever, but you're like, I could really go for one of those, but there's no way to get it because it doesn't exist.
I was mistaken. I think it was one of the grubs that comes out of one of the trees in one of the episodes, or like these like maggoty looking things that apparently taste like peanut butter somehow.
I ate crickets at the Minnesota State Fair. So
survival situation, I guess, would be the only reason why you would do that. I'm assuming.
I was in Minnesota, so.
Crow, I was curious, what was your most imaginative way of starting a fire, since you are our resident?
You seem like a car battery kind of fire starting kind of guy, Crow.
From the show? Because I didn't watch it.
No, in real life.
Anyway,
yeah, your most resourceful fire start.
Angle grinder in my basement.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness!
I just knew that would be a good question. The answer was going to be even better.
Decent chance. Well, so later on in the series, in addition to being out on his own, he goes out with his kid. Who is like, it's funny because he wants to like let his kid decide some things, but also like teach him some things. And he's like, his kid's arguing with him, like, I want to go there, and he's like, you're gonna argue with your Survivorman dad, like you have to be an unruly teenager in the middle of like the jungle. Like, what's wrong with you, kid? But like kids, right? That's why I don't have them. Whew. I can't even imagine.
I watched you do this your entire life. I can handle it.
Yeah, but they're still entertaining episodes. Add a different element than even other times in the future seasons. He plays out scenarios that have happened with, like, gets a family out and interviews them about the experience they went to, and they'll again try to play it out and show how they
my
did
gosh,
at the time.
You should do an unknown theater survivor thing, and like
I thought that's what we were doing.
People that want to go. No, he could. No, what I'm saying is like kind of like a camping trip, but a survivor thing, and then we could all like get to meet each other in a survivor scenario. Wouldn't that be awesome?
I don't know if I want to see Crow's bare ass in the middle of the ocean.
Well, I don't want to be in the middle of the ocean.
So you want to get us all together with no food or equipment and record it as part of the Survivorman program?
Yes. Yeah, we could all have an adventure. Would that be amazing?
Oh dear.
No, I don't do the C word anymore.
No.
No.
See, I
No,
love. I
just
mean,
me.
every year we go on
Oh.
a hunting trip to, well, Allegheny woods,
Yeah.
and every year that we go, I'm like, okay, I need to bring this because this is now a problem.
This
And
is
it's
why
not
I
a
don't
major
talk about
problem. It's first
camping.
world problem. Like, I need to bring toilet paper, and I need to bring more of it.
I wasn't kidding. I did mention at the beginning of the AMA that like I really had no upbringing in this kind of stuff. I don't have a camping kind of family, and when I did have like a college wilderness kind of class, it was like an easy way to get some credits. Just go like on some nature thing, and I was like, oh crap, we have to make our own shelter for this nature class for college, and so it was me and these two other like assholes who sat in the back of this class, and this Chinese kid who could barely speak English. He didn't have anyone to work with, so he went with us, and we just spent 20 minutes literally looking around for a shelter-shaped tree. Didn't find one somehow, and then the two guys, they're such assholes. They kind of like guilted and persuaded the Chinese guy to build our shelter for us.
White guys, right?
It was a
White dudes?
microcosm of,
Wow.
Chinese manufacturing. But
Oh,
look,
shit.
he contributed. I put some like pine boughs on the top of it, but man, I didn't. But I was hooked from that. I still do like I go actually camping with friends every couple of years. I never initiate it, but I don't turn it down, and I always have a good time. I'm just again, it wasn't in my blood, but I love the. It is nice when you get out.
Now, is it
away
camping, or is it like I got a cabin, I got a toilet somewhere?
Oh, my life, as I've said in some jokes, is glamping enough that if I'm gonna go camping, it's gonna be a little rougher. No toilet per se. Yeah, I got
Nature's toilet.
I got enough nature on the day to day. Believe me, I have a red squirrel just living in my shed right now. It's
Yay, what's his name?
Don't you start, Wind. I don't want to hear your squirrel loving shit right now. It's a bad fall's a bad time for me, okay? Me and the squirrels are not vibing right now. I don't need you to take it to the side, okay? I know how you get with them.
They're so
You
cute.
and the chipmunks are just like too tight. It's disturbing.
I love them.
So, has anybody else gotten to watch the at least some of Survivorman in some fashion or another?
Seen the show? I do recommend
Not
it.
yet.
If
I went down the Bigfoot rabbit hole with the Survivorman thing. That was really interesting.
I was wondering how that went because he doesn't seem like a man that would believe in that.
So it's
Like
fascinating.
being in the woods his entire life.
So he did this. He did this. For those who don't know, he did this. One of the TV series that he did. And he's done like 5 or 6.
Sasquatch, I think it was.
Well, he just did the Survivorman Bigfoot series, and he
Okay.
basically went to different places where people purported to have seen Bigfoot. He never claimed it was a thing, but he was just like, "I'm gonna just go to explore and check out the places," and it's like, I don't know about half, but like a big chunk of the people out there just give him so much shit for even considering it for a second, and like, are like, what are you doing, Les? And the other half are like, more Bigfoot content, more Bigfoot seasons, please. And you can see this, like, tell you, right? Like, you look at we saw on the social post that Survivorman did after our AMA. There's like tons of good comments. It's awesome. And then you have just some people are like, when's more Bigfoot coming? I want more Bigfoot. I even talked to my next door neighbor. He's like a landscaper, kind of rugged Canadian guy, and I'm like, for sure he knows who Les Stroud is. So I'm hanging out with him. I'm like, hey, you know what I'm doing tonight? He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm gonna interview Les Stroud in virtual reality. He's like, Survivorman? I'm like, he's like, oh, can you ask him about Bigfoot for me? So really like the Bigfoot stuff, really like that stuff. He's a good Canadian. You have fun with that. See you later. But some of the people really love the Bigfoot stuff. That's the one series I did not watch, and I didn't ask him any questions about it because I'm just not that gripped by it. I don't judge him for it. He went on Joe Rogan, and Joe's just like a real shithead about it, and so he's like, well, Bigfoot. It was a really old episode, but I am a little bit curious, but I never got around to watching them. Did you've seen those episodes, Night Rider?
Yeah, I binged them all. because it fascinates me, and his approach was really the refreshing thing. He took a very scientific, legit approach to it, and based on the interviews and the things that I saw that he did afterwards, I kind of feel like he believes in it more now than he did going into it. And
Well, that
and so
I didn't expect to hear
I'm
that.
looking forward to seeing, like you said, more of that stuff from him, because he's a legitimate voice for what is a crazy cockamamie type thing, and to give some legitimacy to it is, it's really nice to see from him. So, and he went in as a skeptic, so and really his scientific view of it was the difference thing. Like he entertained and never made fun of the people that were giving their testimonies about it and things like that. But he was very real about it and tried to approach it from a realistic standpoint. So I really like that.
Well, thank you. And well, he never, part of his whole vibe is that he just doesn't sensationalize, whether
Yes.
it's for Survivorman or Bigfoot. And that's part of what characterized, I think, the competitors that followed. They would value the sensationalization.
Sensation.
Whatever. At the expense of authenticity or accuracy. So I can understand why there was a sober entry point into that side of things, which I think you need. So it's not like an ancient alien. It's like, but what if? And then you just go on a long hypothetical of like, yeah, but there's no basis. But what if he just said? Kind of thing. But yeah, thanks. And maybe I should give it a chance, because like I said, I didn't give Wild Harvest a chance for a little while, and now I'm full on addicted.
I'm definitely going to skip
That's what I've been
everything and just go to
watching
Wild
lately.
Harvest. See if
Pardon
it's any good. Maybe, do some wife spending time with.
Well,
type
it just,
of thing.
but it's gone into my head, and he does make a persuasive case that, like, and just to say, he opens every episode with a disclaimer of like, don't be a fucking moron. You're watching this show doesn't prepare you to just wander out and start eating leaves. Like, talk to an expert in your area, read the right books, and figure it out. But I do like the idea that outside in just like my random shit growing on my property, there's stuff that I can eat. I've learned one thing from one of these survival shows that I then saw on my property and ate, and it was delicious, and I wouldn't mind having more of that. It was cool, like little clover looking things that tasted all like lemony and delicious. When I'm out eating them, I was like, don't eat those. What are you doing eating just the ground? Or I'd play it up and be like, these look kind of good. She'd be like, what are you talking about? And just start picking them up and eating them, freaking the person out. Like, don't just grab shit off the floor. You can't just eat plants like that. But it's because most people aren't used to.
Were they the little
that.
yellow ones? Are they like little yellow flowers, and then the green part has like leaves on it?
It's like a
lemony.
3-leaf clovery kind of thing. I think does end up with flowers at some point. It's called wood sorrel.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually if you go fishing and you're like Wild Harvest, if you go fishing and you get hickory nuts or acorns, you just kind of roast the acorns or the hickory nuts to dry them a little bit, and you crush them up with, you can do it with a rock or something if you don't have anything available. And you take that and you rub it on the fish, and then you kind of put the crushed up nuts over it as a crust. It's awesome. You cook it. You could cook it on a rock, and it's like amazing.
When we
So
do
there's
the
like
unknown
all
camping
kinds of
trip,
flavors.
she's in charge.
Oh, you can catch along, like if you can get a place that's like in a mountainous area or something that has like streams at a certain time of the year. There's all kinds of things. There's so much stuff. There's wild leeks that grow, which are amazing because they're really good for wrapping different things in for flavoring.
So have you seen Wild Harvest, Win?
Hmm?
Have you seen
I
Wild
have
Harvest?
not.
Okay,
I have
yeah,
not.
I probably like that as well.
Oh, I love wild harvesting. I think it's great.
The show logo is like a couple of cattails, because it does come up in a few different ways. They make cattail flour, the roots, just a few different ways.
Interesting.
Make stuff.
You don't have to go far. We planted, my son and I planted perennials around the house, and they're all edible. Like hostas are edible, nasturtiums are edible. Everything we have around the house we can eat.
I
Did you
was
say hostas
interested
are
in
edible?
Hostas are edible.
Hostas, yeah.
What? That's all I have are hostas.
Yeah, well, you can eat those.
Oh, we know what
God.
Simon's doing
Every
in the
part
middle
of the
night
plant
tonight.
is edible.
I live in a salad. You don't even know.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
I was interested in a girl that knew how to do that. She knew what flowers were edible, and we'd walk through the local museum, and
Purple
we'd just take
violets.
flowers, and we would eat them.
Purple
man, I wonder-
violets
there's a few
are
different kinds of hostas. I wonder if they
edible
taste
and they're
different.
very sweet. Daylilies are edible. And their roots are edible also, and they're really good. They have almost a I'm trying to think of what what it's called. Like a bamboo shoot. It's almost it has almost that flavor.
Mm.
Daylily, like the stem, the stalk. It's really good. There's so much stuff that grows out in the wild that people can use. Birch bark from black birch trees. If you peel that off, it's amazing. You can make tea out of it. It tastes like birch tea.
Birch tea is nice. It's pretty
Yeah,
nice.
it's
And,
really
I got a lot of
nice.
pine trees where I am, and like a pine needle tea is pretty basic and vitamin C rich and tasty kind of thing to have too.
Yeah.
Oh man, this
We are running later than normal, but there was one question I wanted to ask. Out of all the episodes that you've seen, if you got to choose one of the situations that he was in, which one would you be interested in doing?
But without a doubt, the Tropical Island episodes
Yes.
are by far my favorite. They're by far the easiest ones that he talks about. I've always had like I do like Castaway for that kind of reason, and I always like I mentioned the AMA, like things like Swiss Family Robinson and what's it called? What's the other one that where they make all kinds of like technological shit out of bamboo? People thriving in an environment like that.
Gilligan's Island.
Yeah. Well, you literally got the best of both worlds. You know, you got the ocean there, you got a wild island to hunt.
You don't have meetings all day back to back.
Ugh.
Most importantly, and like Microsoft Teams and things like that, and T4.
That's the reason I love going hunting in the woods. One, I want to put meat in the freezer, but you're cut off from civilization. You're cut off from technology. Yeah, you have your cell phone, but you're not really doing anything with it. You're just there, enjoying doing nothing.
I'm not the biggest lover of seafood in the world. I am good with it. I just feel like some people really love it, and I don't know if like that would have been my top choice, but still, just the aesthetic of
live seafood is
tropical
better than
island.
anything you've ever had.
The
catch that
freshness
fresh
makes
and then
such a
get
huge
it,
difference.
it
You're
does.
right. You're right. It does
Massive
make all the
difference.
difference.
Do you like freshwater fish?
I started eating fish late in my life. My siblings were all
Same.
squeamish, and then I started like basically while traveling. I had friends that were like, you're gonna have delicious grilled fish here," and I'm like, "Okay," and like, "Wow, this is delicious." My family's dumb, but yeah, I'd say the tropical island does seem best. I do like a fresh coconut as well. I don't know if you've seen any of these kinds of episodes of these kinds of shows, but depending on the kind of year, coconuts have different. Like sometimes there's like just a lot of water in them. Sometimes they have more flesh in them, but sometimes they have this like little ball of desserty sugariness. I don't know if you've seen
I
coconuts.
think he described that in the first episode. There was he got lucky with that.
Yeah, that thing looked good. I want to eat one of those, and he goes nuts over that. He also has. There's one episode he has an ostrich egg, which is the equivalent of like 18 eggs, and it's like about this big. And I think he has digestive problems after he eats that, but it looks really good too. And I'm like, I wouldn't mind an 18 egg giant omelet from an ostrich. That might be good. But yeah, Tropical Island is 100% the way to go, and I hope that Survivorman VR, the next version, has that. And for those who haven't picked up the game yet, if you join the Discord, we can throw you a discount code for 33% off. But
I really should get it. I mean, I'm highly interested in that. Timing wise, obviously,
My friend of mine was like, messaged me. He's like, "Have you tried that Survivorman VR game? Because I feel like you would be the perfect customer for that." I'm like, "I am indeed the perfect customer for that." And I did have fun, and it was cool to talk to the people that made it as well. And
well, hopefully we'll get lucky
just getting
for
Wes's avatar.
Survivorman 2 game.
Well, how cool was it seeing his avatar in banter pulled in?
That
from
was
the
a little
game?
trippy. Like whoever did the design on that did super well.
So Andrew was the person who created the first model and like pretty much pioneered the technology that got him into the game. And then we got this dude, Dead Zed, in the banter community, was kind enough to rig it for banter,
Wow.
and did a fantastic job.
It was.
doing that.
I was lucky enough to see him backstage before he came out, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like that's him. That's
Yeah.
him there."
It's unmistakable. Like the avatar is there in all its uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Reality. It was cool.
I would say it's been impressive to see what you guys have accomplished, and that you got to the point where, after what, a little under 2 years, you had a superstar almost. Not an A-lister of any form, but he's well known as the guy who started everything.
Well, you were there outside. We had a great moment before the event started. I'm standing out there with King and Crow, and we're just welcoming some people who got in there. People would spawn in, and they were gotten to banter for the first time. So looking around, we're orienting them, and this guy walks in, gets to the island where our venue is, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" We're like, "Oh, you here for the event tonight?" He's like, "I don't know, there's an event tonight." We're like, "Yeah, have you ever heard of Les Stroud?" And he goes, "Survivorman?" We're like, "Yeah, he's gonna be downstairs in like 10 minutes. So you can meet him." He's like, "What the fuck? Okay, yeah, this is amazing." They're like, "What are the odds?" Imagine like what a weird VR experience to have rapidly. But my point is, he's not necessarily the most household name, but enough that moment can happen.
Yeah,
it's not impossible. And
was it? He was standing outside before he got his avatar changed. It was Andrew, I think. He was standing outside the back door to get to the backstage. And I come down, I'm like, "Simon, there's some random dude just standing at the back of the door." He's like, "Oh shit, that's him." You take off.
No, but really, I'm hoping to do more of this kind of stuff. There are a lot of people out there with YouTube channels and people that they put content out to, but they don't actually get a chance to interact with those people. And their communities that they put out these videos out to, or whatever the content out to, they don't really interact among themselves and actually hang out. They'll just maybe comment on each other's comments or whatever. And so VR gave a chance for people to come out and meet these people, not maybe in the flesh, but more than they otherwise would. And like
didn't have to travel anywhere. I mean, obviously Friday night was free, but you didn't have to go anywhere. You got to talk to them. I did. It was
people at the end were thanking me. They're like, "I can't believe I just got to do that. Thank you so much. That was really cool." And comments after on the Facebook really appreciated it. For a lot of people, this is like the most interaction they're ever gonna get with them. And they've been like me, where they've had just like hours and hours and hours of that one way. Like you feel like you know the person, and just being able to say something back and have like any kind of two-way thing is really nice. So I'm hoping we can do more of this kind of thing, more VR AMA kind of things, and build off this.
It definitely is an interesting story to have. I mean, as soon as I told my wife, I was like, "Yeah, I got to ask this guy a question," and she's like, "Well, who is he?" So I gave him his name. She looked him up while we were in the AMA, and she's like, "That is really cool."
So that bought you another year of like goofing off with your VR headset with us. You're like, "See, they're getting somewhere. It's worth the time."
But could you imagine that guy going into work the next day, like, "You guys wouldn't believe what happened to me last night in my VR headset."
Well, that's what happens for a lot of the comedians that Rodney had been bringing in for the pro shows. These people have been doing comedy for 20 years, and then they come in and they're doing jokes on a weird ship at sea to a bunch of cartoons, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on? This is new to me." And that was not a familiar environment for a guy who's been just about every environment on Earth.
Yeah, right.
was new to him, and that's what VR can do.
It's an amazing thing what you guys have accomplished.
Thanks, man.
I definitely look forward to seeing what happens within the next year. What just anything I'm going to be amazed at, because Friday night was one of the top stories for you guys, I believe.
Thanks, man. It was definitely a highlight of all the stuff we've done. We've always got a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of crazy stuff planned. We've got PXR next month, Performance in XR. We've got a crazy half improv, half stand-up show that's going to be happening in Banter. So you can look up PXR conference for more information about that. But yeah, some crazy stuff happening in the new year. I can't get into, but we keep the surprises coming. Keep it. I do.
I was hoping for a little
interesting.
snippet or a hint. Well, thank you all for coming, or staying, I think would be the right word. Definitely check out Survivorman. From my understanding, we have different. Somewhere along the line, he's got a series out there that you could enjoy. Sasquatch, I'm going to be into the cooking thing. Wee Woolies, it sounds like you would definitely get interested in the Wild Harvest, I think it was called.
Yeah, as long as I don't have to go camping anymore, or portage or any of that stuff. Been there, done that. I have the T-shirt. I survived it all.
Well, there's just such beautiful sights from around the world. That was part of what hooked me originally. Was just like you get to see this really well shot, and like from like someone being in the experience of that place. Just footage of these areas, and he's a good storyteller and filmmaker too, and not just a survival guy. So if you just search Survivorman on YouTube, you can get to his channel, and all of it's there. It's really just the easiest way. He was smart and kept the rights to his stuff, and so he was able to put it up on YouTube and give it to the people for free, which I think is awesome. So just watch his stuff.
I have no doubt his stuff will be generational. Like somebody's going to come along like, okay, this is the guy that started it. I'm going to check it out and become a new fan. I mean, half the people in the Banter, I'm pretty sure, were of the younger set just because of VR. And they grew up on YouTube, so watching him is just like watching any other YouTube channel.
And there's just so much of it, and he grows on you, and he built the fan base that he did for a reason. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. It's you'll get sucked into the rabbit hole.
Yeah. So well, speaking of that, you can watch all the episodes you want because we only have one movie for the next episode. October 29th will be a very special guest. If he messages me back, I had to remind him. But we'll be reviewing Ready Player One. Or I would highly suggest, if you get the opportunity, read the book also, because my guest has also read the book, as I have multiple times. We're huge fans of it, so it's going to be a very fun show.
The VR classic makes sense.
Yay.
Yep. Well, is it a classic now?
I mean, the story is the. I'd say maybe not the film. The film came out after, like the story was before, right? Like the film.
Well, the book was before, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, I mean, because VR has been in movies for. I can think of a couple different VR movies. You ever seen Brain Scan?
I don't believe I have.
Oh, classic Edward Norton, not Edward Norton, Edward Furlong.
Oh.
Something definitely to check out. I might have to bring that up.
VR movie, we should see that.
It's I should have put that one in there with this one. Maybe, you know what? Check it out. Brain Scan if you can find it.
And then maybe
it is kind of horror a little bit.
We should have maybe a bit of a Survivorman mini watch party or something in Banter where we can have a screen and put on YouTube.
With the YouTube, we won't be able to stream it.
No, but we will be able to watch it. We'll be able to watch it though together. Which
you know what? That sounds like a lot of fun. I think I might try to pull that off.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, thanks for.
Oh, you've been I couldn't wait. I'm finally got one of you guys on here. Now I just got to get Vinny up here.
You got to find the right show. Well, I was a huge fan of Survivorman, and I was looking forward to. I'll gush about it forever, anytime.
Other shows.
No on the Survivorman, the unknown Survivorman, like just a weekend. Everybody, no.
I don't know if
just
I could go to Canada and want to leave.
I consider, like, as a Canadian, I consider basically entering the United States a mild survival situation. I don't know.
There's
knows
actually a
what I'm
guy
talking
on
about.
YouTube I'm fascinated with right now called Wild Homestead. It's all modern in a sense. I mean, he uses modern tools and modern technology, but he's trying to live in the Canadian woods. He built a cabin. He's going to be building, like, he built a little cabin that he's finishing up. Then he's going to be building his like home on cabin, and he's doing it all himself. Like, he's got a couple neighbor help, but like he's lugging logs through the woods to the location, taking the bark off of it, cutting it out and stacking it up. It's really fascinating. One man show, just like Les.
Nice. It's give it an armchair admiration right over here.
Yeah. I would love to do that if I was, was loaded. I had enough money just to, like, you know what? I'm just going to go in the woods and do what the hell I want.
The irony of that, like, doesn't take necessarily a lot of money to be a bum in the woods, but something to think about.
Yeah, well, wife, kids, they would want to come along, and other shows coming up. Well, you guys all know the shows, but for the online folks, are we doing stand up sit down tomorrow?
I don't believe this week. It's usually the first Wednesday of the month, but I definitely come to Europe on Friday. Sam Joseph has been really working hard building up that European show at 5:30 Eastern, 10:30 UK time. But really, all the events are on unknowntheater.world/calendar. Do my best to keep that updated, and then all our classes, open mics, pro shows, and talk shows are all there. Should be.
And then we have the big show for November.
That PXR show you're talking about? Yeah, there are a few dates around that. We're going to be posting about that on the Discord soon. Rodney's working hard at preparing that again, multi-performance art show coming up. But yeah, that'll be around mid-November, and that's the next big thing coming up. And then hopefully more Survivorman would be great as well, and maybe future game client kind of people, maybe future influencers could get in here, and celebrities and things. I probably won't be as uber a fan of the next people as I was with Survivorman.
Somebody's got to be.
One of my favorite moments, and I'm sorry, I know we're trying to wrap up here, but my favorite moments of the AMA was someone was like, did you nearly die in one of the episodes? At any point, were there times when you were like, oh shit, I bit off more than I could chew? And he's like, yeah, there was Norway, and then this other one, and I'm like, Kalahari. He's like, yes, Kalahari. I'm like, yes.
It's kind of weird to tell somebody else their life.
Yeah, I remember when you almost died. Better than you, yes. But yeah, super fun, and for coming out to that, and for having me out here.
Excellent. Yes, you've been a wonderful guest host. Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate coming out. Come out in 2 weeks. And I know Wynn would be very sad if I didn't tell you next week would be Pipe Dreams and Crooked Conversations again.
Yay!
Do you have any special guests? Any special guests? I'm always excited for your guest.
Very special. Very special.
Ooh. Come out to that. Thank you again. Have a wonderful night.
Yay! I'm squatted still like I'm taking a shit, aren't I? I hate that.
Oh.
I don't like these new sitting things. I know, like, Rodney had a chairgasm when he saw them, but it's weird